Okay, let's get started. Okay, we're gonna go over a few topics today. First, we're gonna go over remember who you are. This is the GodBody speech topic, by the way. We're gonna go over remember who you are. Second, the war for the human mind. Third, the power of self-awareness. Fourth, the GodBody mentality. Fifth, discipline is spiritual. And before we close it out, purpose and legacy. And then we're gonna have a closing section as well. So let's get started. And I would like to start off by saying peace and love to everybody here today. I don't stand here before you as somebody claiming perfection. I stand before you as somebody in pursuit of truth, in pursuit of elevation, in pursuit of remembering what humanity was always meant to be. Because somewhere along the journey, people forgot who they are. We learned titles before identity. We learned survival before purpose. We learn fear before wisdom. And many people spend their whole lives disconnected from themselves while searching outside for something that already exists within. That is the condition of the modern world. People are spiritually exhausted, mentally fragmented, emotionally programmed, and physically distracted. Yeah. And most people are not living consciously. They are reacting, consuming, repeating, escaping, and performing. These are the type of cycles that has been established in the routines of a lot of people's autonomy. And it's something that's when it comes to recognizing it, it takes soul searching, it takes patience, it takes reflection. But today is not about judgment. Today is about remembrance. Because there is a higher version of yourself waiting for you to activate it. And that is what GodBody represents. Not ego, not superiority, not pretending to be above people, but understanding that there is divine intelligence, divine potential, divine responsibility, and divine creative power within the human being. Yeah. The God body is the alignment of mind, body, spirit, discipline, purpose, and truth. And once a person realizes that, their entire reality begins to change. Now let's take a breather on that. And I hope that this provides some sort of deep understanding to yourself, for yourself, and to know why it's important to connect with that part of yourself. It's very important. It's important for yourself. It's important for the collective consciousness. It's important for God's will, especially the will that was put in each individual to be able to activate and access. I mean, God's will be fulfilled, but to know that we also have been given the power of choice and to to have a way to enact in a purposeful manner that we can also align with the beautiful side of God's will, to align with the honor side of God's will, to have that emotional, spiritual, mental integrity, to make sure that we're not being a part of the destruction that comes with God's will, but to be a part of the life, the growth, development, and all the beautiful, positive, the positive impact that God's will provides. So I like to start off by thanking God for God's will, thanking everybody for being a part of the collective consciousness. And may we drive this collective consciousness in a positive way and be an example of truth, honor, integrity, good purpose, good faith, and wisdom. So I would like to move on to the next section. Next, I'm going to talk about the war for the human mind. There's a war happening right now, not just a physical war, not just physical wars, not political wars, not wars between nations. There's a war for attention, a war for consciousness, a war for your mind. Because whatever controls your thoughts eventually controls your life. People are constantly being told what is beauty, what beauty is, what success is, what happiness is, what masculinity is, what femininity is, what spirituality is, and what truth is. And many people never stop long enough to ask, who would I be without the programming? That is something that everyone should take the moment to ask themselves. Think about it. You can take a moment now to think about it, but eventually you should think about it. Who would you be without the programming? Hmm. Most people inherit identities. They inherit fears. They inherit limitations. They also inherit emotional wounds. And then society tells them, just keep moving. Just keep moving. You got these things that, you didn't inherit it, but just keep going forward. Let's not focus on how initially you weren't created with those in the beginning. But somewhere along the roads in life, these things was you developed, you inherited it. But guess what? We all have a choice. So how we deal with our baggage or the things that we claim as baggage, the things that we claim, because it's a choice to claim things. It's a choice to take on certain identities. So we have to be mindful of how we claim those things and how we identify ourselves. And these words and these thoughts have powers. So yeah, but unresolved pain becomes unconscious behavior. Just like unhealed trauma becomes self-destruction. Lack of purpose becomes addiction. Lack of identity becomes imitation. That is why so many people feel empty even when surrounded by stimulation. because entertainment can distract pain, but it cannot heal the soul. And eventually, every human being reaches a moment where distractions stop working. Yeah. That moment becomes a choice. Becomes a choice. Awaken or continue sleeping spiritually. And that is the war for the human mind. I hope it was something that you can learn from that section as well. I hope it was a moment of reflection in there. I hope it was a moment of understanding in there. I hope it was a moment of reality, divine purpose, divine message. Because that's all I'm trying to provide at this moment. Guidance, direction, wisdom, knowledge, whatever you want to call it, knowledge, wisdom. But information that can last for a lifetime, that can go for your whole lifetime and still be timeless, that provides value for you, and not temporary information that's fleeting, comes and goes, depending on certain circumstances. That society determines what is useful or what's not useful. Once again, thank you all for listening. Thank you for being a part of this message. Thank you for being a part of God's will. Thank you for just for being in the community as well. 'Cause this is something that I would like to call a community, but we only make sure that we bring the energy that's worth keeping, that's worth sharing. It's all about building on that energy. Any other type of energy that's negative, that's oppressive, that's of anything of ill will. It's not condoning that. Let's not give it power. We need to do our best to correct our energies or the energies that try to bring that type of presence. And let's see about that we maintain the proper energy that we truly seek for ourselves. Energies that we truly know that is of benefit in a positive, healthy way. Let's keep that energy flowing and going and growing. Yes. Let's inspire. Let's encourage. Let's speak words of positivity. Let's speak words of power in a positive way. Let's speak words that creates a safe place for our energy and for other energies. Because these words have power. They shape and create reality, just as our thoughts do, just as our actions do, just as our intentions do. So be mindful of all those things. Next, we will be moving forward. We'll be moving to the third part, the power of self-awareness. So all of these parts definitely have its own, it's deep, and the more that you connect all these parts together, you see how deep they are individually, as well as how deep they are collectively. So let's keep moving. Self awareness is one of the most powerful spiritual abilities a person can develop. Yes, because once you become aware of yourself, you stop being controlled unconsciously. We all know how that works. Just going with the flow, going with the rhythm, going with the environment that you was raised in, going with your peers, just going with the rules that be, the powers that be in place before you even knew what your decision was based on, before you even knew what your purpose purpose in life is, So once you become self aware, all these things then become the challenge to your self awareness on exactly how much is this aligned with you spiritually? How much is this aligned with your purpose? So yeah, you begin to ask, why do I react this way? Why do I fear this? Why do I seek validation? Why do I betray my own peace? Why do I repeat destructive cycles? Now, these are the real questions that reflects on your soul, and this should provide you the proper guidance on knowing how to move forward. These are the things that help with being able to move forward. So, yes, a person who never examines themselves become a prisoner to themselves. But self-awareness creates freedom. See, a prisoner to yourself ideally is whenever you never answered to yourself in a way that provides yourself peace spiritually on a soul level, to where you're not making decisions and you're not living in a way that creates conflict in your long term life. For whenever you got to answer the call to who you really are and how you really feel about your decisions up to a certain point, that becomes, you don't want to be a slave or a prisoner to your actual truth. Self awareness can provide it, especially whenever you address it with honesty. And real evaluation requires honesty, not performative spirituality, not fake positivity, not pretending everything is light while darkness is destroying your habits behind closed doors. Real growth requires confrontation. You have to confront your true self. You have to confront the false reality that you may have been living in, the safe false reality that you might have created. You have to confront it. Confronting ego, confronting insecurity, confronting laziness, confronting lust, confronting anger, confronting victim mentality. Because healing is not always comfortable. Transformation often feels like death before rebirth. The old self has to collapse for the higher self to emerge. And many people pray for elevation. My bad. Many people pray for elevation. Elevation. Many people pray for elevation without realizing elevation demands sacrifice. Yes. You cannot become higher while remaining attached to everything keeping you low. You cannot become higher while attaching to everything that's keeping you low. Vibes, energy, frequencies, intentions, um, distractions, conversations, actions, so much. It's everything that you have to then take accountability for, the energy that plays a role into all of those, to all those things. And yeah, that is the end of that section for now. I would like for you to take some time, if you would like, to reflect on the power of self-awareness and to, you know how that topic itself is one of the greatest steps that you can take to finally healing and revealing your true self. It can actually give you so much peace, harmony, and it can lift your spirit in so many ways. It can lift you truly. This is a power that I try my best to embody at all given times. I'm not perfect. I know we are a collective conscious. So at times, I do get in environments where I'm still mindful, but at the same time, I am I'm not trying to be just the person that's bringing a certain conversation to the environment that's, taken away from certain moments. Because I understand not everybody is looking for a certain type of healing at times. Not everybody wants to be healed at times. Not everybody wants to hear certain words of wisdom that requires a deep level of thinking, a deep level of feeling. So I understand that. So, but yeah, I do. For the most part, that is the way I'm operating. That is the way I move. That is the way I basically partake in my ways in life. That's the way how my energy field works. So yeah. Now next, we'll move to the fourth part. Fourth part, we will talk about the God body mentality. Yes, the God body mentality. God body mentality is not about pretending to be a God above humanity. I will repeat that again. The God body mentality is not about pretending to be a God above humanity. It is about becoming responsible for the divine potential entrusted to you. Once again, the God body mentality is about becoming responsible for the divine potential that is entrusted to you. A God body understands your thoughts shape reality, your words carry energy, your habits create destiny, your environment influences consciousness. Your spirit requires nourishment. Yes, you have to nourish your spirit with the energies that you truly seek and truly desire. Nourishing your spirit with toxic, poison, negative, all those type of energies, and we know the differences in energies at this point. We should know, especially if we're grown, we should know all those things play a role. And when you become God by well, when you are conscious of the God body that you inhabit, you should start paying attention to these type of details that you invite. So yes, a God body moves intentionally, not perfectly, but consciously. A God body protects their mind, protects their energy, protects their integrity, because energy is currency. Where attention goes, life flows. Where attention goes, life flows. If you constantly feed yourself negativity, fear, division, lust, envy, and distraction, eventually your spirit begins reflecting chaos. But if you feed yourself wisdom, discipline, purpose, gratitude, health, truth, and alignment, your life begins transforming from the inside outward. That part again. If you feed yourself wisdom, discipline, purpose, gratitude, health, truth, and alignment, your life begins transforming from the inside outward. The God body understands that transformation is holistic. You cannot neglect your body and expect spiritual strength. You cannot poison your mind and expect clarity. You cannot constantly betray your own principles and expect peace. Alignment matters. Alignment matters. Alignment matters. Mind, body, spirit, and purpose. Alignment matters. When these become aligned, a human being becomes powerful beyond measure. Now I'm gonna close. That's the closing on that topic, the God body mentality. I hope that this provided some sort of clarity about the meaning of God body, about the way of God body, and how intentional that means to be, that you have to be. Even though everybody is inhabited and is inhabiting God body, has a God body, because it is a product of God. God provided it, God produced it, so it is essentially we're here on borrowed time, on borrowed everything. Life is not something that we have complete ownership of. It is something that was a gift to us. Therefore, everything is God body. Everything is God body. Take a moment to gather your thoughts if you need or want to. We'll be moving on to the next part. We got two more parts into the closing part. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your time. And thank you for your mind for being here. It's a beautiful thing. And I hope you see the beauty in this. I hope you see the growth in this. I hope you see the message, the impact in this. I hope you see the power in this. So, the fifth part, discipline is spiritual. Discipline is spiritual. One of the greatest misunderstandings in modern spirituality is believing spirituality is only about feelings. No, discipline is spiritual. Consistency is spiritual. Self control is spiritual. Integrity is spiritual. And keeping your word is spiritual. Anybody can feel inspired temporarily, but transformation belongs to people who remain committed when motivation disappears. A person changes their life through repeated choices, daily choices. You have the foods you consume, the media you consume, the thoughts you entertain, the people around you, the habits you repeat. Yes. All these things are spiritual. The foods you choose to eat is a spiritual thing. If you consume in debt, life will reciprocate that energy in ways that you will see the things in life is not bringing you life. But that is one of those things that we have to be mindful of to know that we need to invite and partake in things of life. The things that you consume on the media, through media, television shows, movies, social media, media, all types of media. If it's of drama, conflict, negativity, y'all know the list, how it goes. If it's all just chaotic, stress driven, something to just consume your attention in a way to have you attached in a drama feeling, yeah, it's you understand. You should know exactly what type of energy that creates and revolve around. And just like your thoughts, the thoughts you entertain, the people thoughts that you entertain, whoever you entertain, their thoughts is conflicting, their thoughts is gossip, their thoughts are negative, their thoughts are toxic. Yeah, that has a spiritual attachment to that. And that spiritual part in life is the definitely one of the greatest parts that we experience in life. And we need to do our best to be aware of how we may be influencing the spiritual aspect of life. Because whenever you influence it, you now, you got the receipt. You should be aware of the receipt that you created. Because whenever you see that, when you create that receipt, you know the debt that you owed. And you don't want to owe a debt that's, you know, you don't want to have a negative debt coming to you. You want to have a positive debt coming to you. And I'm using debt as a example. We all know what a debt means. Debt means something that you owe. So if you can, I'm pretty sure you can give something to somebody and create a positive debt for yourself. Give positively, you create a positive debt that's given to you, that's owed back to you. And I'm gonna use that in a spiritual sense. But if you create a negative, you give something negative, you cause negativity. Now that receipt shows that you have a negative debt. So yeah, and then the people you are around you, energies. We are a collective conscious. So energies can be contagious. Energies can be attached. Energies can be shared. Energies can linger. So that's another part. Be mindful of the habits you repeat. If you know, if you know the habits that you are doing, that you have, is not healthy, not physically, not spiritually, not emotionally, mentally. You know that it's not healthy. Then you know what the spiritual got to feel. You know what the spiritual side of it feels. You know what the spiritual side thinks about it. You know how the spiritual side will react and respond to that. So yes, your future is hidden inside your routines. Your routines reflects your future. And every day you're either constructing your higher self or reinforcing your lower self. There's no neutral state. There's no neutral state. You're always becoming something. That's how we're going to end that section right there. That was discipline and spiritual section. That's spiritual plays a role in your discipline. Okay, Our last section before we get to our closing section is purpose and legacy. So, purpose and legacy. Every human being has influence. Every human being has influence. Even if they do not realize it. The question is, what are you influencing? What are you influencing in life? What are you influencing? What energy enters rooms when you arrive? What energy remains after you leave? What do people feel around you? That's very important. The energy that you carry, the energy that you invoke, the energy that you spread, the energy that you share, that is an influence. It's one of the deepest influences. Surface influence, surface level of things, you know, though especially the social influence is something that's kind of based off of being conditioned for to appeal a certain way or to to relate to certain social situations, so certain social standards. But beyond the social standards that's been developed and accepted, what are you influencing that goes beyond these standards that we have society have deemed as standards? Because legacy is not only money, legacy is impact. Did your existence inspire healing? Did your existence inspire courage? Did your existence inspire truth? Did your existence make people stronger? These are the type of influences that needs to be reflected, and just how much is being carried, how much is being represented by each individual that is either yourself or individuals that's around you. That brings that understanding on exactly what type of operation of energy is going on in your environment and how it will shape your life, how it potential that it has to shape your life, the power that it has to shape your life. The world does not need the world does not only need successful people. It needs conscious people, disciplined people, compassionate people, and awakened people. People willing to elevate themselves instead of spreading brokenness everywhere they go. That is real leadership. That reflects character. Now I'm gonna leave off that subject. I'm gonna leave off that section, the purpose and legacy. And I hope that this has been very reflective and inspiring, encouraging. Hope it's been something that you feel like it can actually provide a sense of direction, a sense of understanding, and a spiritual healing for yourself. I truly hope that that is the whole purpose of me doing this. Now we'll be moving to the closing statement. Once the closing statement is done, I will be wrapping up the video. And yeah, I hope that this has been a message for you that you can appreciate. So let me move to the closing statement. Never underestimate who you are becoming. Don't ever underestimate who you are becoming. Don't underestimate who you can become. Many people are living far beneath their true potential because nobody taught them how powerful they truly are. But the moment you begin mastering yourself, your life changes. You have the ability to change your life. The moment you stop running from yourself, your life changes. The moment you align your thoughts, actions, spirit, and purpose, your life changes. Yes. So I know a lot of us wasn't really taught how to be our true selves. We was taught to become accepted by the world. That's doing a disservice to your soul. That's doing a disservice to your creator. Most of all, it's doing a disservice to yourself. 'Cause you gotta live with the feelings that bring. You gotta live with the discomfort. You would have to live with the disappointment. But God forbid any of those negative things for any of you, anybody. So yeah, the moment that you begin mastering yourself, the moment you start running from yourself, the moment you align your thoughts, action, spirit, and purpose, your life changes. You were not created merely to survive. You were created to evolve. You weren't created to just survive. You were created to evolve. Evolution begins the moment you remember who you are. Not your trauma, not your trauma, not your mistakes, not your fears, not your failures, but the deeper self beneath all conditioning. The conscious self, the awakened self, the disciplined self, the elevated self. Calliope. The conscious self, the awakened self, the disciplined self, the elevated self. Y'all can see that I'm operating out of a space that seems to be common in a house, even though it is shouldn't be the most common space. But yeah, it's yeah, which I can't determine. I can't decide what's going to be the most common space. I get it. You know, it's an environment that I particularly be in the most. So it welcomes, especially my family's energy. So yeah, but that's love, right? That's yeah. So that is the God body journey, by the way. That is. Hold on, get out. Not right now. Close the door and get out. That is the God body journey, not perfection, alignment, not ego, purpose, not domination, elevation. So I leave you with this question. If you fully stepped into your highest self, what kind of world will your existence help create? That is my message. So, you all, thank you once again. I hope you found enjoyment in this message. I hope you found hope in this message. I hope you found more of yourself in this message. And I hope you found wisdom in this message. Peace and love. May good fate and the essence of positivity be in our favor always. Once again, thank you all for joining me in this God body. Always.